Craig Schulz and Erik Wiese. We are talking about Snoopy Presents, a summer musical. I will be honest with you, I am very much Team Sally. Camping and I are not friends. You
Yeah,
know,
we're on the same team.
Yeah, same here. Although I grew to
yeah,
become
you
Charlie
know,
Brown and now love going camping.
okay. See, you guys obviously have the passion for it. Greg's still continuing your father's legacy, thanks to your dad and me still having a Knott's Berry Farm pass just for that reason. Um, when you start coming up with these, like we had the Franklin special not too long ago, we had the Marcy special, and here we are, we're starting to focus not just on Charlie Brown or Snoopy, but the rest of the family is coming into play. And this is a bit more of a Sally story. How did we decide, well, how did you guys decide on wanting to make it more of a Sally story, especially as we're coming to the end of summer and the situation with the camp?
Well, number one, Sally is always fun to write for, but I don't think it's as much a Sally story as much of a kind of global story on the fact that, things that are here today are gone tomorrow. And the fact that, if you step it up as Sally could and learns to do, we can save these things. So I like to look at this whole camp thing as a metaphor of what's going on in the world today. And that, we can change it if we all get together as a group and work toward changes. It's possible.
And Erik?
I agree with everything that he's saying. Basically, it's well, for Sally, you need that character who that we relate to, that didn't want to leave the comforts of home, doesn't want to go out there. It just sounds like, oh, you're going to be bitten by every single bug. But Charlie Brown really wants her to have that same experience. And part of that too is he's been trying to imprint his experience onto her, and rather than letting her have her own experience. So there's also that story arc as well, coupled with what ends up happening, which is like, hey, the thing that we now love and that Sally has grown to love is in danger. And so, yes, like if we all get together, we can do great things.
Like the dandelion in a previous special.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
This is considered the first official Peanuts musical in over 35 years. When we revisit the genre of musical, how do we find the balance of keeping it in tone with the 70-year history of Peanuts, and then how I want to say tastes have changed in those 35 years, whether it's genre, whether it's styling, or what people are coming to expect from a musical at this point.
Well, I think if you go back and look at the last one, again, if it was 35 years ago, that was Good Man Charlie Brown, based on a stage musical, which again, my dad didn't write. When you're pulling up a stage musical, this was new from the ground up. I think it's a groundbreaking Peanut special. Nothing like this has ever been done before. Our use of the 1950s characters has definitely never been done before, and having Lulu May in there, I think my dad ever put a horse in any music or a pony. So it's new on many levels, and it becomes new to the new generation because of the music injected in it and the style of filmmaking that Erik brings to it. It's different than Melinda's thing, and it's different in a lot of ways because of what Melinda's had to do with hand drawings as opposed to what Erik could do with computer animation and modern techniques and modern lighting. So I'm very, very proud of it, and I think it sets a new benchmark for what Peanuts music and Peanuts shows can be in general.
If I could just tag something that he said, it's like, I'm a longtime Peanuts fan. It's in my DNA, and we want to look at all of those specials and really the comic strips and honor that. And I think that there is already music that's part of that. Like we associate some music with the Peanuts, and so here, with Ben Folds, there is a relation there. He is our punk rock piano guy, our punk rock piano man. And so he is already on the same frequency of Peanuts because he also grew up with it. So I think that for all the generations that grew up watching Peanuts, it was the natural progression, and that includes the filmmaking. We're still very much aware of the filmmaking style, but also for the modern audience, we'll go into new territory, and also the music allows it to do that. So it was a natural progression to get it to where it is now.
Right, but it still holds true to the original designs that Mr. Schulz has presented to us over the last 70 years. And even
Yeah.
the CG movie that came out about a decade or so ago still holds true. And now Charlie Brown Christmas 2 is going to hold true to that. And in doing so, it speaks volumes in the level of talent that both of you have presented to us with this musical, and the kids that you found to be the voice actors and singers in this. And it just makes it that much more fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to be able to make us recognize the voices. I go back to when Charlie Brown Christmas came out, and the first time I heard the kid for Charlie Brown talk, I said to myself, "That's not Charlie Brown," because up until then, for the first 10 years, I'd been sub-vocalizing what Charlie Brown and Linus and Lucy all sound like, and then you hear them live, and you're like, "Well, that's not right." Now, after hearing them for 70 years, whatever it is, you know exactly what they're supposed to sound like. So our casting director and everybody else is really honed in on what they're supposed to sound like. And Erik can speak to the Charlie Brown and the Charlie Brown singing, which I think is unique to the special also.
Yeah, I mean Etienne Khaleesi, who is the voice of Charlie Brown on the Snoopy television show, he's got it down. He's got that voice. It's a little raspy. And he still feels very young. But what does Charlie Brown sound like when he is singing? And so we really had to do a very long process of auditioning, and it was a long process. We finally found him. His name is Jade DeRoche, and this kid can belt it out. He's so good. And going back to Ben Folds for a second, we really wanted it to be Ben Folds who was directing him. We didn't want to have like a vocal coach, having him Jade singing. Part of this that was really important to me and to all of us was like, hey, make sure that it stays sounding like a Ben Folds song. And so he really directed Jade, and he also knew where to keep him right in the pocket of sounding like Charlie Brown. We didn't want him to go into like Frozen territory, like a big musical Broadway thing. It's like Charlie Brown can sing this, and his personality will keep him in this. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And Craig, since you are in your home theater, I do have to ask, what is it like to have this musical playing at the museum? And what would a premiere at the museum look like for something like this?
Oh, with that, yeah, I can't wait for that. I got to talk to the museum director, get that scheduled, because many people have talked about that. We only have 100 seats in the museum, unfortunately, so we might have to do multiple showings of it. But that will be exciting for me to do that, and we'll probably have a panel to discuss, what the movie was all about, before we actually show it. So I'm going to get to work on that tomorrow.
Was there anything that you really wanted to incorporate into this, but it just didn't fit the schedule and the time frame to animate it? Or was there something that looked great on paper when you wrote out the story and drew out the storyboards, but just didn't quite fit the narrative?
I mean, that always happens with every project, right? Like you dream all of these ideas, but that's also part of the fun game. It's like you have this space to build your building, and that's half of the game is how do you make it work. But I think that we got everything important in there. And also the time that we had to do all the backgrounds and all the animation, I think they knocked it out of the park. Craig, is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing for me is I would have obviously liked to have Ben do a couple more songs or whatever if we could have fit him in there. I think what we did worked out perfect. That was on my wish list as we were starting the project. But Ben was really busy too. You have to recognize that we completed this almost 2 years ago. And I remember Ben was like, "Well, I got to go off and do this. I got to do this. I only have a week to put this song together," and he was loving it. He was inspired by it, by the conversations. But it was definitely a time crunch for Ben. So he did step up to actually give us 3 songs. I think originally he was only going to give us 2, if I remember right, and we got 3 out of him. So that was pretty special. But it's like everything. You always want more. And
yeah,
yeah,
we're greedy artists.
we are.
Well, we're greedy fans. That's the thing.
Right.
But unfortunately, I've run out of time. Craig, I got to come up to the museum and see you in person. Erik, thank you so much. Remind us when and where we can see I know it's Apple TV Plus, but remind us when we can see, Snoopy Presents a summer musical, and when we can see it at the museum.
Well, you can see it on Apple TV Plus August 15th, anytime, because this can be streaming, so you can watch it over and over and over again, dance to the music. And the museum, I will let you know about that, and we'll get a press release out when we're going to have our museum day for that. We don't have one yet.
Well, I can't wait. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I've already seen it 4 times, so I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, RC.